Right now at noon, it's Election Day here in Oregon, a preview of tonight's top races and key measures. And we're breaking down one of the most controversial items on the ticket, Oregon's gas tax referendum. Libby Dowsett joins us with a live report on that. Plus, on the national scene, control of the House and Senate on the line. The key races President Trump is keeping a close eye on right now at noon. It is Election Day, and drop boxes across the state are set to close at 8 o'clock tonight. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm Tim Gordon. On the ballot, a GOP primary race for who could be battling Tina Kotek for the governor's seat. That list now coming down to a few names. Former Portland Trailblazer Chris Dudley and State Representative Ed Deal are two of the people in the group vying to be the Republican candidate who could take on Governor Kotek in November. On Monday, we spoke to Representative Deal, who says he's focused on eliminating certain taxes, while Dudley says he's focused on education.
If your estate is $1 million or more, you are paying a tax on that. And what we're finding is that even a modest home in the Portland area is exceeding $1 million. So people are having to sell their assets or refinance these assets that they would inherit.
Well, number one is focus on the science of reading and really emphasize that and get that it's tragic that we're ranked 50th for fourth grade testing right now.
And we reached out to State Senator Christine Drazen yesterday, but a spokesperson said she was not available to comment. We also reached out to Marion County Commissioner Danielle Bethel, but did not hear back. One of the items on the primary ballot for Oregonians, a referendum asking voters if they want to repeal the recently increased state gas tax and various fees. Democratic lawmakers raised the tax and fees as part of a transportation funding package they say will help fund ODOT and pay for road repairs. Libby Dowsett joins us with a reaction to the timing for this vote. Libby?
Well, happy Election Day, Tim. Yes, even Democrats admit this may not be the best time to be asking voters whether they're willing to pay more for a higher gas tax, especially with the war still going on and gas prices still sky high. Now, Republicans in Oregon are asking voters to repeal the increases after petitioners got 3 times the number of signatures they needed to qualify the referendum for the ballot, according to the Associated Press. Under the transportation funding bill passed by the legislature, Oregon's gas tax would rise from 40 cents to 46 cents a gallon and increase fees, including vehicle registrations and title fees. Democrats say their transportation funding package will help, that is, raise money for repairing roads and funding Oregon Department of Transportation crews. But political science experts say it may be a hard sell right now.
I think it's difficult to imagine a worse time in American politics to try to raise a gas tax than right now. There is no recognizable yes campaign for this tax, and I think that that's telling. Democrats who passed the bill are not out there in front of it.
And Chris Koski is a professor at Reed College, and he says that these increased fees on registrations, on titles, may greatly affect the average Oregonian, not the wealthy Oregonian. And he also says this vote may be a split vote between the metro and rural areas because people in the city, like Portland, may have electric cars, they may be walking more places, where in the country they may have to drive more and be affected by that gas tax. Back to you, Tim.
All right, Libby, we'll see what the outcome is, or at least get a sense of it tonight. Thanks so much. And meanwhile, Oregon's top elections official, Secretary of State Tobias Reed, stopped by KGW to talk about election integrity after the president signed an executive order asking Homeland Security to create voter rolls. That's something Oregon and other states have called unconstitutional, and they're challenging it in court. Reed says the process does not impact today's primary, and above all, Oregon's vote-by-mail elections are secure.
all you got to do is think about all the steps that are involved. In order to get a ballot, you have to prove your identity and your citizenship. Then the ballot comes to you. It's barcoded, so we know where it's going. We know when it's coming back. If you've lost your ballot or you made a mistake, you need another one, you can get another one, but that second one has a barcode too, and it invalidates the first one, so no one is voting more than once. The ballot comes in, we're checking the signatures on the envelopes to make sure that the right person cast that ballot and signed that envelope. Then multi-partisan teams are looking at the ballot to make sure that it's accurately reflecting the voter's intent. But please, make sure you fill in the bubble. Don't, circle it or write an arrow to it. Follow the directions.
Had Secretary Reed on our 4 o'clock newscast yesterday, live with us. And if you haven't dropped off your ballots, officials say use any official drop box at this point. Remember, ballots have to be in those boxes by 8 p.m. tonight. Now, they don't recommend mailing in at this point since postmark delays mean it may not be counted. And after you vote, join us for complete coverage as the results come in. We'll have team coverage all night long, including expert panelists to break down what the results mean for you in the November midterm election coming up. It all starts tonight at 8 o'clock on our free KGW streaming app, KGW Plus, which is an easy download anytime on Roku, Apple TV, or Fire TV. All right, switching gears now and taking a live look from our Rose City sky cam. Little bit of blue getting in there, but clouds overhead to start the day. Chris McGinnis is here with what's in store for the afternoon. Chris?
Yeah, a lot of us dealing with at least partial cloud cover. The farther south you go, the more sunshine you got. The farther north, like you get up towards Longview and especially into the North Oregon Coast Range and the Oregon coast, we're pretty socked in with cloud cover. And I expect that to continue through the remainder of the afternoon. So kind of what you see out there right now is what you get. So that'll impact the temperatures a little bit. I think we'll probably knock our high temperatures from yesterday down a degree or two, but all in all, pretty pleasant mid-spring day for this middle of May. 61 degrees, mostly cloudy last check in Vancouver as we look from the spring to the waterfront. Meanwhile, it appears to be mostly sunny over the state capital right now in Salem, so consequently a little bit warmer at 64. And elsewhere across the region, we're 62 in Sherwood and Wilsonville. Battleground checking in with 62, 64 in Almsville, and Albany sits at 63 here for the lunch hour. As Tim showed you, the Rose City sky camera, there's a couple of blue spots out there. These clouds are not terribly thick, but they're enough to probably limit our high temperatures today. We were 71 yesterday. Right now we sit at 63 degrees at PDX, and I've got high temperatures this afternoon stopping right at about 70 or maybe somewhere in the 68 to 70 degree range, depending on how much sunshine we see. But all in all, pretty good looking day. Partly sunny and dry for today. We've got a bit of a warm-up coming our way as we head into the latter stages of the work week. And then, of course, we are squarely focused on the unofficial start of summer with Memorial Day weekend. That forecast comes up in just a few minutes.
All right, Chris, thank you. Not a bad election day at all. A motorcyclist is recovering in the hospital today after a serious crash with another vehicle on Northeast Sandy Boulevard this morning. Officers say the rider has multiple broken bones and a possible injury to their hip as well. They were taken to the hospital. We've reached out to police for more information, and we will bring that to you as we get it. Well, Oregon's Attorney General Dan Rayfield is suing the U.S. Department of Education over a new rule limiting access to federal student loans for some professional degree programs. Rayfield, along with a coalition of 20 other states, say the rule could make it harder for students to afford advanced training in fields like nursing, physical therapy, and social work. Industries already facing worker shortages. The lawsuit argues the department unlawfully narrowed the definition of professional degree and added restrictions Congress never approved. Well, President Trump is turning his attention to midterm primary elections today with control of the House and Senate on the line. The president is on a winning streak, knocking out political foes in these primaries. And today, his sights are set on Kentucky's Thomas Massie, who was broken with the White House on some key issues. NBC's Alice Barr has more.
A key test today for President Trump as he seeks to unseat congressional Republicans who've crossed him, with perhaps his biggest target, Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie, on the ballot today in what is now the most expensive House primary in history.
It's great to be here.
The president posting a flurry of messages against Massie and this video.
Massie's the worst congressman in the history of our country, always voting against Republicans and good values.
Massie says he votes with Republicans 90% of the time.
The problem is that 10% of the time, they're voting against you.
though he's clashed with the White House on key issues, including the budget and the war with Iran. And he's stirred up frustrations for helping lead the charge to release the Epstein files. His challenger, Ed Galrine, a farmer and former Navy SEAL, on offense.
The stakes are just going to get higher. Okay. He will continue to betray us.
Massey says he still supports President Trump, but argues
The main thing they've got to decide is, do they want a rubber stamp?
President Trump has shown his power to oust Republicans who split with him. Over the weekend, Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy lost his primary, having entered the president's crosshairs after he voted to convict him for inciting the January 6th insurrection. Key allies backing the president.
There is no room in this party to destroy his agenda.
As President Trump tightens his grip with midterm election season well underway. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Here's a look at some national headlines this afternoon. Today, the NTSB is beginning a two-day hearing to examine November's deadly UPS cargo plane crash in Louisville, Kentucky. 3 crew members and 11 people on the ground were killed. Representatives from Boeing and UPS, along with FAA investigators, are expected to testify. After the crash, UPS retired its entire MD-11 fleet, and the FAA grounded all aircraft of that model. The NTSB found a metal housing around a bearing had signs of metal fatigue and cracking. When it failed on takeoff, the left engine detached and went over the wing. We're learning more about a shooting at a mosque in San Diego that left 5 people dead, including the 2 suspected gunmen. Federal law enforcement officials have identified the suspects as 17-year-old Kane Clark and 18-year-old Caleb Vasquez. Police say hours before the shooting, the mother of one of the suspects contacted authorities that her son was suicidal and had run away with another person. She told police that her firearms and car were also missing. Authorities say they're investigating this as a hate crime. 3 people were shot and killed, including a security guard who tried to stop the tragedy. And while the mosque houses a school, children were not hurt. Global health experts are growing deeply concerned about an Ebola outbreak in Central Africa. The death toll is now 130, and it's estimated that 500 people have been infected in a matter of weeks. Most of the cases are centered along the Congo-Uganda border, but suspected cases have been detected more than 1,000 miles away.